We back. Starting five podcast. Y'all already know what it is. Let's be real. Yes, sir.
It's been a minute, y'all.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
You're doing too much out here, dog.
We working. That's what it is.
Show to Star 5 podcast and you'll know.
Damn. Okay. Who the hell doing that?
He's taking shots at you.
Oh,
Hey, it's the last day of the year, so I guess.
I
guess it's the last day of the year.
Petty with petty, that that you got to do, man. Because we up all 2022, bro. We leave that petty BS in 2022. So have at it.
Well,
okay.
Don't start no stuff. Won't be no stuff then. That's all I'm saying. You don't want the smoke, don't dish it.
You don't give a damn.
I'm gonna get some hair on this face.
I think that's hair on my face. I think there's some. You just got some on your face. What you talking about?
Let me go ahead and mute my mic because I wasn't here for this.
Hold on. I'm just gonna drink my coffee.
Right. Y'all know it's all love, man. Right, man. Virtual hugs over here. Y'all know it's all love. We'll be back, man. Episode 194. So it means we're 6 away from 200. So sometime in February, we'll be at 200 in 2023. Happy New Year to everyone. Remember, y'all know y'all can follow us on LBR_media and subscribe on YouTube and any of our podcast platforms. Yes, we are on 11 different audio platforms. And of course, y'all always know me. I am P Shark, the guys Sheedy, Tail, and Trevor. And to get the episode started, let's get to our intro video. Let's be real. All right. Already got it coming. I got Tyler starting off high. Yeah.
What up, Tyler?
Right, man. But yeah, of course, I did flip on Started 5. Y'all can listen to some Started 5 podcasts. We'll be coming out early next week. Memphis Grizzlies basketball for that one. And of course, 3 the Harder Way with the guys, Tail, and Sheedy, who had a random. It was supposed to be the last episode 2 weeks ago, a week ago. Then they had a random episode pop up.
An impromptu episode of 3 the Harder Way, which was great, by the way.
Thank you.
Right.
Appreciate you.
First
man.
live
We went
episode.
live, right? Yeah.
Right. Yes, first one live too. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank y'all. Y'all help me kill time from work because I finished all my
Man, what?
So thank you.
I so bored. Bro,
You're welcome.
This is the most pointless week of work, man.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you is not lying.
Yeah.
Free money.
Right.
But he did little things a little differently. She did have some ideas. He texted me about a month ago, some random stuff. So that's what we got. Sheedy, introduce.
Yeah, man. And so today, and like Sharky said, Cap said, I wanted to talk about different awards that we don't really discuss. I just kind of made these up, by the way. You talk about the MVPs, you talk about most improved player, coach of the year, rookie of the year, all those types of awards. But today, with Let's Be Real, we're going to do some real talk about some other awards. We're going to start in the NFL, but we're going to talk about value, right? And the first award is the most undervalued player in the NFL. And so you can take that as you will, as you must, but we're going to talk about the most undervalued player. Trevor, I see you got your mic hot. So let's go ahead and start with you.
I wish you could start with me, but I'm stumped right now because it's
okay, so anybody want to go first?
Just give me a second. I'll help.
Which one?
Is that undervalued?
Undervalued. Yes, we're going to start undervalued, then we'll work our way up.
I got one. I'll go ahead, Shark.
Okay, you got to. Okay. Jalen Hurts. Go on, get it. I'll go ahead and start off. Jalen Hurts. I am sick of the disrespect of the black quarterback, and that man's been getting disrespected all season. Give my man his respect. He is a definite MVP candidate. He might lose out because he's about to miss his second game. But let's stop acting like this man. The talent around him is making him like he actually improved. The talent does help, but it also helped these other quarterbacks. Different skin color quarterbacks they had. You got Jamar Chase with Joe Burrow. You got Stephon Diggs with Josh Allen. You got Patrick Mahomes black anyway, but yeah, Patrick Mahomes, you can take away Tyreek Hill, and he still gonna be him, right? So give him his respect as well. But yeah, Jalen Hurts, give him, man, his respect. He's definitely undervalued.
Yeah, I'll stick with the same mantra, even though he's currently injured right now and he's going to be missing some time. And he's been talking about this all season because he needs his money, and that's Lamar Jackson. Time and time again, the Baltimore Ravens. Now, granted, the Baltimore Ravens are a well-run organization. They've always had a stellar defense. But Lamar Jackson has been one of those guys, has been the guy that makes this team go on the offensive side of the ball. And the difference when he's in the lineup fully healthy versus when he's a little hobbled or when he's out of the lineup is literally night and day. And the fact that the Baltimore Ravens are possibly going to be looking to franchise tag him instead of just giving him his fully guaranteed money is mind-boggling to me. Now, as a Steelers fan, I'm like, hooray, but I'm like, yo, I have the utmost respect for Lamar Jackson. I just hate that he's wearing a Ravens uniform. That's the only thing, because I have to hate him. But yeah, if I had to go with someone undervalued, I'll stick with the black quarterback mantra, and I'm gonna go Lamar Jackson.
I love both of those, especially with Jalen, and I think with Savage actually in the comments. I don't think I ever gave a public my bad to when he called Jalen Hurts a superstar. You know what I'm saying?
Hold on, Tuke. He wasn't a superstar at that time.
But he still said it. You know what I'm saying? He believing in his boy. You know what I'm saying? It was like me believing in Cam Newton and saying
he never coming right.
You know what I'm saying?
He never coming right, but at that time he wasn't.
As you said, information has changed.
That's issues. You ain't gotta apologize. You just information.
No, I didn't apologize. I said my bad, so it's a difference. It's a difference. And then with Lamar Jackson, I honestly hope he don't play another game this season. They need to get it. They need to get his money right. They need to get his bag right, and he needs to do what he needs to do to stay healthy. So great choice by both y'all. If I had a choice, I would actually go. I go with Tony Pollard. Just for the Cowboys' inconsistency on, with quarterback. He's been there through injury, and I hope he's able to play at least one of the last two games. I think it's 2-3 games in the season. He do that and get 12 yards, he'd be at 1,000 yards this season. So I think there's much value in Tony Pollard. I hope he can get away from the Cowboys and go to another team, because I do think that Tony Pollard is the starting running back in the NFL. Just me. I know you love him, Sheedy, but hey, we got to show Memphis guys out here.
I kind of agree, because Dallas has a tendency of running their running backs into the ground to where they're pretty much worthless. So unless Jerry Jones is gonna break out that checkbook, I'm with you there. Tony Pollard, get out of Dallas.
Yeah, which would hurt the NFC East, because I think all of NFC East has one Memphis running back, right? And so we would be without Tony Pollard.
The Giants don't.
They don't. Okay.
Yeah, the Giants don't.
And so I said Tony Pollard is his contract year anyway. And so he's looking to get a bag to your point too. And I agree, and I agree with the quarterbacks as well that have been stated. The one player that I'm going to take for undervalued, and is showing his ass this year, and it's a rookie, by the way. He's in Seattle. We don't talk about it. Tariq Woolen. He was drafted in the 5th round, about 6'4", 2-something. He's your starter on the Pro Bowl team, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know how every team missed him for 4 straight rounds, but the Seahawks picked him up, and he's been showing out. And if you haven't watched the Seahawks game, please make sure you key in on Tariq Woolen for sure, because he's going to be making some money very, very soon once that contract is up. For your first year, him and Sauce Gardner are the prototypical cornerbacks from this draft. And I mean, both will be getting paid handsomely, but let's not forget, we talk a lot about Sauce, and rightfully so, but Tariq is doing his thing as well. And so I will say that for him. Yeah. I mean, at 6'4", that he's bigger than most receivers that he's covering. But enough of that. Great talk, guys. So next one, we're talking about overrated. And again, I do want to extend this. This doesn't have to actually just be a player. You can also choose a team or what have you. But we talked about players last time. We want to continue players. That's fine. Or team. I'm okay either way. We'll keep the same order we just had. So Cap, Trevor, and then Tuke, and then I'll finish it off.
Okay. Oh, that's a nice declaration there, Ryan.
Yep. Yeah, because Richard Sherman was drafted in the 4th round or something too, was it?
Yeah,
Third or 4th round. He was drafted.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. That's a very good one. Tyler said the Vikings for his overrated team. I can see that. And Savage also answered about undervalue. He said Trevor Lawrence. That's a really good one.
Of course, Tyler would say that.
We'll say the Vikings.
Really good though.
Yeah. We got a bet going too. So.
But for overrated, I may be jumping the gun because one, he didn't play for 2 years, right? But for him to have a fully guaranteed contract and to look, and like I said, he didn't play in 2 years, so this information definitely could change next year. I believe he will get better and get back to his old self next year. But Deshaun Watson, the way he's looked in his comeback and that fully guaranteed deal and all this hoopla about him and the whole all the cases and everything going on against him, and for the trade demands and for Cleveland to trade all they got to get the production they got. So far, again, only been 5 games. He hadn't played in 2 years, but the early returns have not looked well so far. So I'm gonna put him as my overrated.
Overrated. I honestly will have to stick with it and just go with Deshaun Watson as well. I mean, you pretty much hit the nail on the head. With everything that transpired from his trade from Houston to him receiving the fully guaranteed contract from Cleveland, and then for him to come back. Now, granted, like you said, and we all know he hadn't played in 2 years, but for him to just come back the way he's come back and look the way that he's looked, it's almost like a complete dud, which is, you want to keep it a buck, vintage Cleveland Browns. So I'm going to echo your sentiments there, Cap, and just go with Deshaun Watson as probably the most overrated.
Yeah, I think for me, when you talk overrated, my football knowledge isn't as great as y'all, so I'm able to only talk about what I see. And what I see is from a player who I was actually happy when he joined the Carolina Panthers. I was happy to have him on the team, and then he got on and didn't do too much, especially for this season since we traded him to the Cardinals. And that player is Robert Anderson. He came from averaging 1,000 yards, not averaging. He had 1,000-yard season. I'm thinking, okay, cool. He's gonna be pretty good, And he ended up having 519, which is damn near half in 2021. And this season, he only caught three balls in with 200 yards, and then with the Cardinals now only got 63 yards in this 9 games he's played with them. So it's like, what you doing, bro? You know what I'm saying? I seen you get 1,000 yards. I seen you go to the Jets and was actually doing your thing. But maybe his thing was in garbage time as well, which may attribute to those yards he was getting with the Jets. But overall, I think, like I said, from what I've seen and from what I've known from Robbie Anderson going from 1,000 yards to pretty much nothing and non-existent, kind of overrated to me.
Hey, Darren, maybe Derek Carr will actually put some respect on the Immaculate Reception next time. Rest in peace, Franco Harris.
I've heard that so much here in Arizona. It's ridiculous. People want one of them out. I've never been able to find somebody who likes Kyler Murray or Cliff. Like next season, they shouldn't have both of them.
No. And so if I'm talking overrated, I'm actually going to stick to one of the teams that's already been mentioned. That's going to be the Cleveland Browns. But I'm going to switch lenses. I'm going to go to the defensive side of the ball. And I'm going to call out Jadeveon Clowney. I mean, I don't give a damn. This man is getting paid $11 million for 1 season and has given an immense 2 sacks. 2 sacks the entire season. Now, I know injuries, what have you, affected that, but Jadeveon Clowney was supposed to come and be the other side for Myles Garrett, be all these things for him. It's not happening. Cleveland, go and get rid of that part and move on. You can draft somebody else. But I also want to say I think we should be kind of done with this Jadeveon Clowney experiment in the NFL. He's never really available and ready to go. And so Jadeveon, by all means, sir, let this be your year. Like we see JJ Watt retiring, you can just go and put something out there for the Cleveland Browns. Let us know. Goodbye, and you don't need to go into coach or anything like that. Just go be with your family. Sorry, Coach Cap, you're about to say something. I'm sorry.
Oh, you good? I'll let you finish. He should get the most overrated player of the decade if you wanted to just keep it above. He got the Titans. He paid him $12 million. He gave us 0 sacks. All right, so I know the pain. I don't know why. I don't know why another team decided to pay him $11 million, but
because they only paid the guy y'all talking about $1 million for the season. So that's why they was able to do that.
Yeah.
But okay. So now, speaking of money, most overpaid player in the NFL. So this does have to be player. This cannot be team oriented. We'll just again keep the same order. We won't change orders until the NBA. But most overpaid player. Go ahead. I hope this is not unanimous, but go ahead.
That's right.
But I got somebody. But before one to answer, a couple of people, Tyler said the Vikings are overrated, and anybody. People listen to audio, they might not know who we're like to start talking about Kyler Murray. He responded to comments we sent to our live show. Also, someone else said, Tyler said, 90 as a 90 fan, some people are overrating Brock Purdy. And Fat Boy Fadeaway Sports, which is Darren, he said Derek Carr, and he is a Raiders fan. So makes all the sense in the world as he just got benched. But overpaid. I could have kept it Deshaun Watson, right? But I'm giving him another chance to change their narrative next year. Kyler Murray, name that was just mentioned earlier, is definitely overpaid right now, in my opinion. I'm gonna start with him because I got another name y'all probably think about in our next category. So these folks, these three categories could have been interchangeable with the names I got for these different categories, right? But I just decided to stick Kyler Murray. He had all this offseason threatening to hold out and all this junk, and then they signed him to this big deal, and they require him to watch the film in the deal, and then he comes out and slows out before he goes out with an injury this season. So, yeah, Kyler Murray, he had that one great throw against the Raiders, but that one great throw ain't worth $200+ million. So Kyler Murray's my most overpaid.
Oh man, it's too many. It's too many options for this, man. Yes, Mr. Unlimited is definitely one. But I'm gonna stay in the NFC East because we've piled enough on Russell Wilson as of now. I need to do a check and see if he has as many touchdowns as he has bathrooms at his house. So we need to keep a tally on that. He does. So he finally made it. Okay. He made it. Like I said, I'm gonna stick with the NFC East, and I'm gonna go with Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz since leaving, and I get it. The injuries are piling up, but since he's left Philly, he's been pretty much a shell of himself since that one big season that he had, in which Philly went on to win the Super Bowl with Nick Foles. He had a stint with Indianapolis last season, which kind of was okay, but for the contract that he's receiving that he got with Washington, just for them to just say, okay, we're going to go with Taylor Heineke for the foreseeable future, it's got to be Carson Wentz. He's definitely up there for me for overpaid.
That's right. That's right.
Broncos country, let's ride.
Now, honestly, I won't say Russell Wilson for the simple fact that it is his first year in Denver. And he is with a rookie coach, which may or may not be a factor in why they're playing so poorly. So I give him a he got fired. Who me?
Next year,
no. So that's what I'm saying. Next year. Hopefully they can bring in some better coach and Russ can be a better player. If not, then he'll definitely be on my list for this year. But Sharky, you hit everything on the head with Kyler Murray. I think coming into this season, everything was on him to perform, and he still hasn't. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think anybody else can be more overpaid than Kyler Murray right now. So give me Kyler Murray.
I'll one up you. Now, overpaid. I looked at salaries that players earn. Y'all know the highest grossing player this season, coming into this season, was none other than Matthew Stafford at $61 million. Has played 9 games, 8 interceptions. And when I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, the Rams are not doing this to the playoffs because they're doing this.
Look like they found a quarterback, though.
And we'll see next season. But for right now, for their final 2 games, as they are not worried about the playoffs, and that $61 million given to Matthew Stafford, ladies and gentlemen, he is the most overpaid player in this 2022 season. And we're going to round out the NFL and go with the most disappointing player or team, and I'm sure we, again, may be unanimous here as well. Go ahead.
All right. I ain't gonna lie. I would love to have overpaid Matthew Stafford for one Super Bowl, then get choked in the playoff game, throw 3 picks against the Bengals. But that's just me. It's just me paying $30 million to a quarterback that threw 3 picks against the Bengals. But disappointing. This one I go with Russell Wilson. It was the first year and everything. This is a very disappointing year. This is a very people was talking about. I never thought the Broncos were a true Super Bowl contender, but I mean, people was talking about Super Bowl. Was talking about they're gonna win the division, even right? Just disrespecting Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs, right? How many games they got? 3? They won 3, 4. I gotta check. He got 12 touchdowns. He just matched the number of touchdowns.
Got 12. He got 12.
He just matched the number of touchdowns for his bathrooms. Like, yeah, Russell Wilson most disappointing. I ain't give him the overpaid tag yet. Although, I mean, like I said, the 3 names I have overpaid, disappointing, all could have been in either category. Really, you could have just kept. We could have just made a whole list of about 10 players in these categories. But I'm gonna go Russell Wilson for most disappointing.
Yeah, Sheedy hit the nail on the head when we segue right into this topic. The most disappointing team has been none other than the defending Super Bowl champions, the Los Angeles Rams. Excuse me, they lost one of their key offensive linemen and had failed to replace them. And it seems like that one offensive lineman, everything just came crashing down for LA. Matthew Stafford, to Sheedy's point about his contract, him only playing 9 games and having 8 interceptions has not been great. We don't even, I can't even remember the last time I heard from Aaron Donald. And Savage, here's the comment right there. They don't have a first round pick for a minute, so they're kind of stuck right now. And they're not even, of course, they're not even sniffing the playoffs. So that's there. It's another topic on itself. So yeah, for as most disappointed, it has to be the Los Angeles Rams.
I'm actually go with a player. Like I said earlier, it's based off of what I see, and what I see is that Kyle Pitts is not looking like that legend tight end that he's supposed to be. Granted, he hasn't had the consistent quarterback play, but if he's as good as advertised, he's supposed to be still a top 10 tight end, and I'm not sure if he is at this point. How y'all feel about Kyle Pitts?
They need to throw him the ball.
Same.
I had him on fantasy. They need to throw him the damn ball. That's what.
It's the same because D Hop didn't have a quarterback for like I don't know how many. He still ain't got a quarterback
for years until Deshaun Watson.
He producing.
Game. Yeah,
and he
was producing.
Yeah. And I don't know who's the coach of the Falcons. Who even knows? I don't even care. Is it Arthur Smith?
Arthur Smith. Come back to Tennessee, man. Please.
Yeah. I mean,
y'all had fire. We need you back. The offense coordinator. We need you.
Yeah. So that's who I would say. To your question is, do I think that Kyle Pitts can be something? But I mean, he's the type of player that he needs a system around him, and the Falcons ain't it. The Falcons won't be it for at least another 2.
Which means if you need a system around you, that means you're overrated. You're supposed to be the system if you're supposed to be as good as you're supposed to be.
Yeah, that is true.
Remember, he was one of the first offensive players chosen in that draft. Like, he's supposed to be wide receiver, tight end type shit, you know?
Yeah,
right.
He's not at all.
I got a player as well. Once Cheetah gets done.
No, you can go ahead. Because I'm gonna say after this.
Okay. So I had a player as well as most disappointed, and I have to go to my former Steeler, and that's Chase Claypool. Chase Claypool, of course, had a very, very strong rookie campaign for the Steelers. Didn't have a great sophomore year with the Steelers. Was pretty much looking to have a big season this year for the Steelers prior to the season starting. Fell way down in the depth chart behind Deontay Johnson and eventually George Pickens. So much so that he got frustrated and requested a trade, in which we were able to flip him to the Chicago Bears for if I'm not mistaken, for a 2nd round pick. And you haven't heard Chase Claypool's name ever since. So the ultimate fall from grace there, man. And then again, he's 6'5", but doesn't play like he's 6'5". And that's always been an issue with me with Chase Claypool. So there's my player, Chase Claypool, for most disappointing.
All right. And before I continue, I want to put this out there really quickly. I honestly don't want to hear too much about injuries, whether it's NBA or NFL, because we're on a show right now with a fan of a team that has seen at least 90 plus players in a 53-man roster back-to-back seasons and was actually still able to contend even this season to be in the playoffs. So I absolutely don't want to hear about injuries because I don't want to hear. And same thing in the NBA. I don't want to hear about it. So I'm going to go and speak about who I believe is the most disappointing team. I think the Broncos are definitely should definitely be the cream of the crop when it comes to disappointing teams. I think two other teams that I thought about it as I was putting this together and thinking about this, were the Las Vegas Raiders. Very disappointing to me. So I'm saying that division AFC West, and I will also put on that radar as well because I thought this team would at least contend for a playoff spot, not win their division, but they've been out the playoffs since week 7, and that's the Indianapolis Colts. They are like 4-10-1 or something like that. They are absolutely disgusting. And I get it. Players hurt. Again, I don't even want to hear all that because at the end of the day, I know a team or two that has played with multiple players. I don't care if there's the best player on the team or the worst player on the team, and they still somehow found a way to win. The Colts, damn it, are 4-10-1, I believe. And I don't want to hear anything else from the Colts.
Hey, Sheedy, shout out to everybody who was pressuring and taking Jonathan Taylor with their #1 pick in fantasy football. Like, come on, man. Damn.
Everybody said he was better than Derrick Henry. Shout out to him.
I'm still laughing at that to this day. I'm like, bro, really? Come on now.
Right. And we're going to keep it there. That's our disappointments and other awards for the NFL. But now we're going to switch gears and go to the NBA random awards. And then for this one, Took, I'll start with you. We'll go the reverse order. We'll go Took. Trevor, because you keep going second, I'll keep you for last. We'll go Sharky and then Trevor. But we'll start in the NBA, and we'll start here with our most undervalued. So we'll do the same list of awards in that same order, but undervalued player. And we'll start with Took. And then, like I said, Took, Cap, Trevor. Go ahead.
Cool. So as far as undervalued go, he's still definitely the most undervalued player in the game. I just love to give him props every time I can, especially this season. And that player is Drew Holiday. Chris Middleton has missed a lot of time this season. Only played with like 7-8 of the games that the Bucks have played, and Drew Holiday is still there being Mr. Consistency offensively and defensively, and they're still #2 in the East. So, like I said, you missing pretty much quote unquote your better perimeter defender, and Drew Holiday, like I said, continues to step up.
That's a really good one. I thought about Drew Holiday in my undervalued as well. CJ McCollum was very close. He's probably second on my list, and Drew Holiday's third. I'm still go with, although he has been valued, I still think he's undervalued. Jaylen Brown. I just think, of course, Jason Tatum. I mean, he's #1. He's the MVP candidate, but I still feel like Jaylen Brown still takes like a back seat in a sense that it's always Jason Tatum and no mention of Jaylen Brown when it's really 1-2 combo. They're finally playing well together, right? And that was like the argument for the last couple of seasons where are they going to actually, do well at the same time? And this season, we're seeing it. We're seeing both of them. One go for 40 and the other go for 30. Otherwise, previous years, one go for 30, the other go for 10. One go for 40, the other go for 15. Like you finally seeing them connect well together. And I still feel like Jaylen Brown's name still not getting mentioned enough when you think about like the top players in the NBA.
Yeah. Well, I'll take your second person that you said, and I'll go with CJ McCollum as my most undervalued. When Dame and CJ were officially broken up and CJ was sent to New Orleans, no one knew exactly what this was going to be for New Orleans, and he's been like a key missing piece for this team to make them not only just a playoff team, but possibly a playoff contender as well. And then, of course, New Orleans has done a good job of adding key pieces around him, Zion, and Brandon Ingram. to the point where this team is really, really good. I've said this time and time again. Like, New Orleans is good, and New Orleans is dangerous. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, CJ McCollum just said his career high in threes last night with 11, if I'm not mistaken. Definitely kudos to CJ. And to Darren's point, that was my next guy, and it was going to be De'Aaron Fox as well, for all that he's done with the Sacramento Kings as well after getting his payday. But yeah, so those will be my two, De'Aaron Fox and CJ McCollum.
Yeah, right for Chi to go. I wanted to expand on De'Aaron Fox. Shout out to Darren for that. Shout out to Ryan for saying Pascal Siakam too. He's definitely undervalued as well. De'Aaron Fox, I was like one of the few people when that trade went down, when they traded Tyrese Halliburton, I was one of the very few people who didn't really think it was that bad of a trade. Because I thought people, I don't know, I guess I thought De'Aaron Fox was good. I guess people was like, oh, you trade. I thought maybe him and Halliburton just couldn't play together and they had to choose one, right? And they chose De'Aaron Fox and they bought back Sabonis, so I didn't think it was as big a deal as people had made it to be, and it's turning out to be look like a win-win for both sides right now.
Yeah, when you look back at it though, that's a trade that had to happen because they had just paid. I believe De'Aaron Fox just got that extension with Sacramento, so they had to make it work with De'Aaron.
And I love the Kentucky Kings, by the way, because that's what they got. They got a background of Kentucky players, and that's what they were looking for.
And they both played the Kentucky together too.
And they played the Kentucky together, and was beasting there together too. So shout out,
yes, sir. Kentucky Kings at it. I'm gonna mention there's two players on my list as well. I talked about this player at the beginning of the season. This player did get signed an extension, but I feel like even his extension was undervalued for another player that got on the same team that got extended. His name is Andrew Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins, to me, is one of the key reasons why the Warriors were so good in their playoff run last season with locking down the best defender, 94 feet, timely rebounds, scoring at timely possessions. He deserved the contract that was awarded to Jordan Poole. I don't give a damn what Jordan Poole has done in these last 2 to 3 games. I get it. He's going off. Congratulations. But when you're talking about consistency, Andrew Wiggins' name must be highlighted within that Golden State Warriors locker room. And he will be the reason why the Warriors ascend to be contenders, and it will not be because of Jordan Poole when Andrew Wiggins is ready. However, my other player that I want to mention, I'm still in the West, actually. And it's funny, we mentioned the Toronto Raptors, kind of a player from the Toronto Raptors. Another player from the Raptors that was traded has been doing very, very well for them, and that's Norman Powell for the Clippers. He's actually third in scoring behind who? Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. So when those two are not around, Norman Powell is their option. And Norman Powell has kept them as the number 4 seed with the Clippers. Now, that team is very well coached, yes, but we cannot we'd be remiss not to mention Norman Powell. I would be remiss if I didn't mention Norman Powell at this point because I think the Clippers are contenders. And if they're going to be contenders, Norman Powell has to keep this elevation up along with Kawhi and Paul George when they get back to being more healthy within the lineup changes. My fault, Trevor. You about to say something? Oh, okay. So that was undervalued. So now we'll go to overrated. Again, same order to Cap, Tunica. Who was your overrated player of 2022? I hope I didn't mention any names for you, too.
No, you good, bro. I think it actually could be as of now, and I'm hoping information can change so I don't fall flat on my face maybe next season. But as of now, this player was traded for 5 first-round picks, y'all, in the summer. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so I'm hoping this is consistent, if not cool. But Rudy Gobert, man, 5 first-round picks. That's like you trade that for a superstar. And I know we had that talk, but I thought that the Timberwolves would be having a better season right now, and they're not. So hopefully some change, but still, as of now, Rudy Gobert, 5 picks, bro. Now, it's not even a Rudy Gobert thing. It's a Timberwolves organization thing. How about that? The Timberwolves organization. How about that?
Shout out to Tuke for the live because we keeping it in Minnesota with this one. I came very close, but I'm gonna give Anthony Edwards another go because I almost thought Anthony Edwards. I really did, but I do think he cold. I think it's just the team. They need to build around him. So I'm gonna go with the player they're building around, Karl Anthony Towns. It's my most overrated player, and it's for the fact not so much because his game. he's just not number one. He's not number one. He's not who you build your team around, and that's where he's overrated in that aspect. If he gets traded to, I think Tuk said something about him going to Golden State. If he go there and be like number 3 option, that's a hell of a number 3 option, right? If he's a number 2 option for any given team, that's a hell of a number 2 option. But he's not number one, but he's hyped up to be a number one, and that's why he's the most overrated player to me.
Damn, you literally just took the person that I was going to mention for that exact sole reason. But I'm just gonna stick with it. We're just gonna make it a clean trip in Minnesota for 3 days. So I'm gonna stick with Cat here. He was billed to be the franchise guy when he was drafted. He has been nothing even close to that. And the fact that Anthony Edwards came in and took Minnesota by storm, and that they haven't been able to capitalize on that this season. Not to mention them ruining the trade market by trading for Rudy Gobert. Julius Randle for me, Ryan, was probably a close second because I feel that he's not a starter on a playoff contending team. Like, he's a guy that can provide you instant offense for a playoff team off the bench. And I've been saying for a long time that he needs to get out of New York. But if I have to go with one, I'm going to stick with Cat as well. Julius Randle, a close second.
I see Savage. Me and Savage think on the same wavelength. Hey, man. I was close. I was like, nah, I'm gonna give him another try.
But I see we all in Minnesota there, and I guess we're in Minnesota now. Looking ass. But what I will say is I'm gonna stay away from the Timberwolves because, again, I think there is an issue with the coach first. So I'll give him a little bit of grace for now. But a player that I believe is overrated now, and I had so many great things to talk about, but he gets his ass ate up on defense every single night, and that's Vucci with the Bulls. I mean, he's giving you 17 and 10, over the course of the season. That's great, but I mean, look at any time there is any indication of a post player with offense around him, he cringes. And don't talk to me about where the Bulls are in the standings because they are atrocious. And I get it. Zach LaVine probably wants to get out. DeMar DeRozan, knock, Grizzlies, because I heard Tuk say something about that. So I definitely need to say that Vucci, to me, is overrated right now. And I hate to say that because I consider him one of the top 10 big man. But, I mean, offensively, yes. Defensively, atrocious. I mean, he just really shrinks. He gets Tyronn Lue by Allen Iverson every time I see him. And so I have to say no to Vucci on that one.
Damn, Wop.
I mean, if he needs it
is what it is.
He definitely ain't winning the Defensive Player of the Year award. I can tell you that right now. And so let's now transition to that was overrated. Let's just talk about a player that we think going into the season was overpaid for what he's doing. Again, same order. Tuk, whenever you're ready, go ahead.
Well, we know who he's saying, but go ahead.
Actually, I'm gonna be nice, even though that player is pretty overpaid to be doing what he's doing. He's had a great couple weeks, man. I give it to him. So I'm gonna stand back on Jordan Poole. I'm gonna stand back. I actually did a little research, and this player is coming off of a $36 million contract, and now he's getting, I believe, $10 million. And that player is Kemba Walker. He's getting paid a lot of money just to, I ain't gonna even say chill because I feel like it's disrespectful. Of course he wants to play. And I think he still has the game to somewhat be a contributor, off the bench, but he's just not getting it done for whatever reason. But he's still guaranteed to make $10 million for, his contracts. So I got to say Kemba Walker.
Is that more so about him or more about Dallas giving him that money?
Hey, man, shout out to God. You know what I'm saying? I don't question that.
Hey, God did. So I'm just
saying. God did for him for sure.
Yeah.
He's still walking around getting money, no pun intended.
Yeah.
Who's in their top 10?
I mentioned that. I said that. Yeah, I believe he was a top 10 center. Yes, going into the season, and he has been a shell on defense. I mean, you can cross him up, lace up his shoes for him, and then still score. He's terrible on defense. I'm sorry.
Respect, man. Respect. Information has changed, definitely. My most overrated player. I know he's coming off the back injury from last year. He missed pretty much the entire season, but he signed almost a $200 million contract before that. And throughout his career, he's averaging 14.5 points a game and averaging 16.5 so far this year. Michael Porter Jr., I'm paying you almost $200 million, dog. They ain't cutting.
No,
I'm just saying. I know he come off the injury. And even before, when he first got that contract, he didn't do anything else to the point to deserve that big of an extension, right? He deserved an extension, but not that big of an extension for that. I'm sorry. Michael Porter, you need to be a superstar almost. Really, you need to be a superstar, almost for that much money. That's the superstar money. He can pay, I think, more than Jamal Murray. Damn near more than Jokic.
That was a good pick.
Yeah, that was a good pick because we ain't seen Michael Porter Jr. since the bubble. But the true answer, and Savage just said it, is Bradley Beal. It has to be Bradley Beal, 100%. You talking about a guy who has been doing nothing but collecting paychecks for years now. Let's just put it like that, for years. The reins of the Wizards were handed to him when they decided to part ways with John Wall and bring in Russell Westbrook. And since then, Washington has not even been close to the playoffs. They're kind of been in that purgatory that you hate to be in as an NBA franchise. Like, you're not good enough to be a playoff team, but you're not trash enough to have a top pick in the lottery. And it's no excuse for them. Like, they got some quality pieces around him. I mean, Kristaps is having a nice resurgence there. Kyle Kuzma is playing well. He's on his way to a payday. The Johnny Davis experiment has not worked out well for them thus far, which was their pick. Dingy has been okay so far for Washington, but it just hasn't translated to wins. And I have to look at the top guy. I know he's missed some time, a lot of time with injuries. I think most recently he was in health and safety protocols, but you're supposed to be the guy for this Washington Wizards team to at least get them close to contention. And you guys haven't even moved, and it's kind of been that way for maybe some years now. I think they've only been in the playoffs once, maybe twice since they decided to part ways with John Wall. So yeah, it's Bradley Beal for me. I'm sorry.
And Three Hardaway podcast show hyped up Washington to be something this year. Bradley Beal let y'all down.
He let me down big time. I mean, it's still hope, but
huge.
We'll get to that in just a second.
Hold your horses. I agree there. Yes, thank you, Savage. The Wizards. This is, when have you ever mentioned the Wizards being not only just a playoff team, have they ever even contended for the Eastern Conference Finals? We had this talk on the Three the Hardaway. Even when they had Caron Butler, Gilbert Arenas, Antoine Jameson, and they had some decent lineups, what happened? They ran into that buzzsaw named LeBron James and got their ass right up out of there every season. And they've never even really contended for a championship since I'm one of the oldest ones here, in my entire time of living in my life. So, excuse me. This is me choking on the Wizards right here. That Wizards pack. So I would definitely have to. Yeah, I got seeds all in me. And I ain't talking Johnny Apple seeds here. So I got to give it to Bradley Beal as well. Let me tell you, it's Steph Curry, LeBron James, and let me pull this up. Steph Curry, Russell Westbrook, LeBron James, Kevin Durant, and at number 5, salaries, ladies and gentlemen, is Bradley Beal. And I get it. I know LeBron's down there and, the Lakers, but LeBron is doing something to help his team get to where they need to go. Again, I'm not talking about injuries. I'm off that. Bradley Beal, you've looked atrocious. And you're going to stay in Washington. You're going to be the Washington Monument there. I could care less, like Abraham Lincoln. That's fine with me. But you will never see the light of the playoffs playing the way you've been playing. And unfortunately, yes, we did say that the Wizards would be in the playoffs. I didn't see the Pacers doing this well. I'll say that. But I also didn't see the Wizards being this bad. Now, granted, they're like a half game out of the top 10 of the East, but nonetheless, Bradley Beal. I don't care if you only play 23 games. Ridiculous. At 50+ million, damn near 50 million a season. And it goes up after this season, actually. And so, transition us to our most Oh, my fault. Go ahead, Cap.
I got one, man. We came a long ways from that Beal on Beal that we wanted.
We got another
mid-range. Goddamn well, we'll love Bill on Bill Street, bro. Come on, man.
Nah, Desmond Bain, I'm fine. for that money, Desmond Bain definitely stepped up his game too.
That's true.
Yeah.
They
to take that position. Away. Yeah. And then the last one is most disappointing. Again, could be player or team, same order. Tuke, whenever you're ready.
I mean, I guess, Round brought him up, and we do got to talk about, Trae Young. If it's a player for me, only for the simple fact of his shoot numbers. And he actually got a pretty good playmaker with him. That's what I'm confused about. Like, Jonte Murray been getting off with, with dishing the ball, but he's shooting still 31% from the three-point line. Like, we heard you as a next Steph Curry. You've been having a great few seasons as a next Steph Curry, and then you get to play alongside somebody who's great at finding you, and you can't hit a damn shot. So, and I talk about the Hawks' lack of talent. This is when the Hawks need Trae Young to step up at the most, and he still ain't getting it done.
Stop trolling, Savage.
Please stop trolling.
Very number 2 back to Washington. Hey, they'll give him a Jonah energy, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if that's going. You go ahead.
Hold up. You might say put Bill on 2-on-1 popular. Hey. But like I said, Ryan brought it up. He basically just brought it up. I mean, very early. Our next topic, Trae Young was next on my list for NBA for the most disappointing players. So, hey, he said bring him up. He needs to be addressed. He's definitely addressed. He was on the list for next up. Same thing. Everything Tuke just said. He spoke everything I was about to say.
Yeah, y'all gonna stick with the player. I'm actually gonna go with the team, with just the Atlanta Hawks as a whole. Because with all the moves they've made within the past 2 seasons, they were supposed to actually seriously be competing. Coming off, if I'm not mistaken, 2 seasons ago, coming off their Eastern Conference Finals berth. So Trae Young, as you guys have mentioned, has been atrocious. He's having probably the worst shooting percentage of his career, but I'm league pass Trevor for a reason. I've watched enough Atlanta Hawks games, and they don't have no kind of offense, no kind of flow, no kind of rhythm. It's pretty much just Trae Young running pick and roll with Clint Capella, and if he's open, he's shooting the 3. If he's not, he's throwing a lob to him or things or something of that nature. You gotta remember, just like I said, just 2 seasons ago, they had went all in with actually paying the guys that they paid to bring in, and it's have not gone the way that it was supposed to go away. I think that Nate McMillan is slowly but surely starting to lose the locker room because of Trae Young. So I wouldn't be surprised if Nate McMillan has been let go, which of course will be another bad look on Trae Young's part, because this will be the second coach that he's gotten fired. John Collins obviously doesn't fit with this lineup. He's been in trade talks for quite some time, and it's not even just because that he doesn't fit. It's just the owners being cheap as well, because if I'm not mistaken, they have a stats provision in his contract to where they will have to pay him additional money, and to the point where they could possibly have to go into the luxury tax based on all that spending they did 2 seasons ago after the Eastern Conference berth to kind of go all in. So you guys will say Trae Young. I will just say the Atlanta Hawks as a whole right now. And it sucks for DeJounte Murray because he's actually been playing stellar and hasn't missed a beat since he left San Antonio. He's just being more of himself. But yeah, it's crazy. So the Atlanta Hawks. It's simple.
And speaking of what Sanford just said, John Collins was almost made my list, but I thought about those things, what he just said.
Here I am not talking. Okay, got you. When it comes to, I would say, disappointing teams and players. So teams, I'll go east to west. A disappointing team besides what's already been mentioned, I think, is the Bulls. I mean, is it really that they miss Lonzo Ball that much? It might be that they missed the Ball brother that bad. But they should not be in the play-in scenario. But right now they are, and they probably, if they're anywhere close to being in the playoffs, it'll be because they won a play-in scenario. And that's disappointing for me to hear about them. And if I go west really quickly, again, a disappointing team, because I don't want to talk about the Lakers, is the Timberwolves. You did all that trading. The Utah Jazz flexed you. And this is the result that we have. And so disappointing teams there. And I would say one of my disappointing players right now, we've talked about this as well before, is Scotty Barnes. I want to see more out of him. Now, we've talked about this on Three the Hard Way. We can talk about it here as well. I think maybe it's how well Pascal was playing. Is it hindering the growth of Scotty Barnes? This is his second season. That could definitely be a thing. But I expect more from Scotty Barnes. I expect him to be ascending. And right now, he's kind of like flatline level, if not a little bit below his stats from last season. Could be a sophomore slump. Who knows? But Scotty Barnes, I look to you to be really a franchise player for the Raptors. And I don't see that right now. And so he will be a disappointing player for me. You got another one. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I got one more, and then we can definitely move on. But we're entering what's 51 minutes of us doing this podcast, and there's a team in the NBA that's won 10 straight games. So it's just disappointing we ain't talked about it yet. You know, shout out to the Brooklyn Nets. That's all I want to say.
But they're not disappointing. They're doing good.
No. I'm saying we're 51 minutes now, and it's just disappointing that the fact.
Okay, if you want to talk to Brooklyn,
it's disappointing. It's just disappointing. You know, no,
I'll
add games in a row is kind of
no. I'll add them to a category.
But none of the awards we had match up to it.
No. We're talking about disappointment and what we're disappointed about right now. I'm disappointed at the fact that we're going on 51 minutes of this podcast. And when he talked about it, you ain't said nothing.
Hear me out on this, because they do fit a category, and they fit in the undervalued category. And here's why: the moves that they made in the offseason to add some more depth on the wing, the trade that they got for Royce O'Neal, signing TJ Warren to the deal that they did, those are actually starting to pay some dividends for Brooklyn. Now, granted, they still could use some size in the front court at the rim outside of Nick Claxton. But for them to be on the road that they're on, they've won 10 straight. Those moves were questionable and a little bit like head scratchers at the time, but they proved to work wonders for the Brooklyn Nets. So they'll fall in that undervalued category for those moves alone.
Yes, coach is my only thing. They fired the coach early in the season that they need to do. So I knew
that has done an amazing job with this team. So that's
the guy should have had the guy should have had the job.
The guy who should have had the job from the get-go.
and that's where I was going. And if Steve Nash is coaching this team, we're not talking about them. Let's just be fair. At 2-5, we weren't talking about them. We're talking about what the hell we're going to do with them. And so kudos to them, and make sure we give all the praise to Jacques about that, Jacques Vaughn, and what he's been doing. But transition over to Cap. Cap, what's next?
All right. Game of the year for college. Specifically college. I want to try to keep it college specific, since we just spent the last two topics on NFL, NBA. But if you just have any other game of the year, any other sport, it could be any sport really. But I know mine would be pretty much college specific, college basketball and college football specifically, both of them each. So I guess we'll start with Trevor. She did two, then come back to me.
Yeah, I have too many candidates for game of the year across all sports. But I won't go NBA or NFL. I'll stick with college and other sports as well. So the obvious one, obviously, if you guys are watching the video, October 15th, 2022, 52-49, Tennessee over Alabama. Everything that you could ask for in a sports event, you got. You got high scoring, you got drama. It came down to the very last possession. You got post-game shenanigans with Tennessee taking down the goalpost and carrying it all down the city of Knoxville and eventually dumping it in the Tennessee River. This was probably the peak to let everyone know that Tennessee was officially back. Immediately after this game, if I'm not mistaken, they were voted number 1 in the nation. Didn't get the finish we wanted to get, but hey, we'll take the Orange Bowl. We'll take the 11-2 season, and the sky's the limit for UT right now. So for the first time in a long time, we're actually going to have expectations for this team going forward. So that's one. That's pretty much it. Just next. But I do want to give a few honorable mentions real quick. I don't know if Tuca's gonna mention the World Cup final. If so, I'll let him take the reign on that. So Argentina versus France in the World Cup final was good. Gotta give some love to the ladies, man. The WNBA finals was actually that whole series, if we really want to keep it frank, between the Aces and the Sky. Gotta give some love to that. And I'm not saying that because my lady Aces pulled it off, but just that whole series in general was great as well. So but yeah, game of the year, obviously UT Alabama, but there are some definite honorable mentions
there. Yeah, I'll stick with that. Kind of talked about this prior to the show. That UT Alabama game was just a coming of the age. I think realistically, to your guys' point, or to your point, Trevor, about putting UT really back on the map from when the last time they were national champions, when I think it was Peyton Manning. He was a quarterback, right? No, he wasn't a quarterback when UT. Okay, T. Martin. Thank you. But do want to give kudos to that. In like that game, it was like a back and forth. It was a slugfest, and Tennessee is talking about getting over the hump, and so many teams, I believe, cringe when you are looking at what timing. So many people cringe when they had to play Alabama, and Tennessee, you guys play them like every season, and it's like you guys never really got over the hump, and this season was the season to do it, and you delivered. And I believe quite possibly should be categorized as the game of the year, especially in college football. If you're not talking about that one, you might be talking about the Big 12 game, TCU going into overtime.
Kansas State.
TCU, Kansas State.
Yeah, Kansas State was a good one as well within recent memory. We're talking about college football wise, but I'm going to stick with UT Alabama because honestly, both of those teams could have went on and played within this college football playoff if things would have, kind of stayed good. But kudos to those two teams. And I think UT became number one after that win as well. And so to me, I think that's that. And then that was also showing that Nick Saban is human and he can lose in the regular season. And so kudos to UT and Alabama for that.
Yeah, that would definitely be my game of the week as well as the Alabama UT, just for a bunch of reasons. For a Panthers fan like me, even though I'd say I don't want a rookie quarterback, just to be able to watch Hooker and Bryce Young was tremendous. Like, it was just a joy to watch both of them play. And, just like you said, just the fireworks of the game, just, Nick Saban finally losing in the regular season, UT fans going wild with the goalposts. It was just a fun time, I think, for y'all to be a UT fan. So I definitely want to give y'all credit on that one, because I know for y'all it's been the grind, especially over the last couple of years of just trying to figure out who the hell is going to be my quarterback. And then for this old ass dude hitting Hooker to come in and beat Alabama is pretty cool. But you know how to shoot a shot at. But nah, it was that game for me. But just also as well, because I actually watched the second half. I don't even know what to call a soccer game. But just the World Cup, that was just fun to watch. Like, I don't really watch soccer like that. But to see that game and to see, Mbappe score, 2 goals in literally like a minute. 2 minutes. That was unheard of, I guess, anyway. And then for them to go in that overtime period and seeing, Mbappe and Lionel Messi come out and prove, I guess, why he was the GOAT. I didn't know he was the GOAT, but now I see why. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like anybody who's just getting into soccer, it was just a fun soccer game to watch, because I don't think any of those two players are in America. So to see those two go at it, especially for the last round overtime, I couldn't ask for anything better more.
Yeah. Most definitely. Just jumping outside the college back to NFL, Ryan did say Bills versus Chiefs. That might have been the game of the year. The playoff game.
Yeah, that was good. The playoff game.
Yeah. Yep. 13 seconds. You'll never forget that. So you'll never forget. But of course, obviously, and I'm a Tennessee fan, Tennessee Alabama is very obvious. I mean, we had beat Alabama in how long? And for that game to go.
We hadn't beat Alabama since Nick Saban became the coach prior to that day.
So I was a sophomore in high school, and now I'm 30 years old. So let's know how long ago we beat Alabama. And for that game to be when we fumbled the ball and they returned it and go up by a touchdown, then even after we score for them, drive right back down the field, just like we already know how this about to end. How it ended for the last 15, 16 years, and then they kick a missed field goal, we get in field goal range, kick a knuckleball. Hey, that's amazing times in Knoxville on Rocky Top. Man, good way to end the season. Despite the disappointing loss to South Carolina, winning the Orange Bowl with our projected starters for next year, because everybody who started this year sat out for the NFL. That was a pretty good end to the season. But another one, college basketball, Duke, North Carolina, the Final Four, Coach K's last game. You know, I never liked Duke, never been a Duke fan. It was a great game. Two rights fit into his last game was against North Carolina, and I think they were tied. The all-time series was tied.
I believe it was, yes.
And North Carolina won the game to take the series lead for all-time wins between the matches between the two teams in that game. So that was a great fitting in to Coach K's career, and I love to see every last bit of it.
Oh, that's gonna sting Duke for quite some time. You lose your last home game. Coach K's last home game loss was to North Carolina, and your last official game coaching was against Carolina too. Yeah, that Coach K pack is gonna be hidden for some time, for some years now, until John Shire can get something going. I don't see that. Duke is gonna be struggling for a little bit. I wouldn't say completely struggling, but you won't see them up top anytime. So I'm just gonna leave it at
that. Nope.
I'm gonna say the Coach K pack. That is funny. Coach K.
But moving forward, 2023 wish list. I decided to put this topic as we, like I said, this is New Year's Eve, last episode of the year. Head to 2023. So I decided it'd be fun if we talk about favorite teams a little bit and think of a wish list for next year. Of course, championship is obvious, but what's like a realistic like wish list for things you want your team to do? So I'm gonna start to kind of just give a good a good intro of what I'm thinking. So for the Titans, my 2023 wish list is to find a quarterback of the future. Whether they think it seems like they don't think Malik Willis is it right now, or maybe they think he needs more time. Either way, Ryan Tannehill should not be back on the roster next year. And that's the discussion going on next year. He has $18 million cap hit. If we cut him, we say $18 million. We need a whole new offensive line. We need all 5 new starters, as far as I know, on the offensive line. And we need another receiver to go along with Traylon Burks. We need a whole revamped offense. Todd Downing better be fired, or I might be petitioning for a new team for real. If I got to watch the offense,
the transfer portal
for another season, I might be hitting the transfer portal for real. But it's time to move on. They got to figure out, and if they don't think they can find, I think a lot going to depend on this next week at Jacksonville anyway. If we lose, we have a potential top 10 pick. If you think somebody in this draft is it, go for them. Even if it's real Levis, I can find a way to talk myself into it, right? Because I didn't think Justin Herbert was going to be good come to NFL leader. So I can find a way to talk myself into something like that. If they want to try and go with Malik, but they think he need more time, bring in another quarterback to compete with him and make him compete. There's no point in bringing back Tannehill. You got to go ahead and rip that Band-Aid off. And next season, if you lose out next season, 2024 draft got a great list of quarterbacks. Get a top pick. So that is one of my wish lists, but that's just an example that I'm going with. So anybody welcome to go with any of y'all teams?
I have quite a few for all of my teams, but since you started with the NFL, I'll stay there and I'll stick with the Steelers. So it is official that well, I wouldn't say official, but rumors are been circulating that our offensive coordinator Matt Canada will be fired at the end of the season, regardless of what happens. So for the Steelers of 2023, I would want you to obviously beef up your offensive line, even though they have shown some improvement over these past couple of weeks. I need Deontay Johnson this offseason to lock in. He got his contract, he got his money, but now I need him to lock in and focus on not dropping the ball so much. Even if you got to put Vaseline on his hands like Orlando Jones and the replacements, just so he doesn't drop the ball. I need you to start making some catches. The Steelers are right there. I mean, it's not bad. It's not completely terrible. Like they're right there. Like just a couple of tweaks here and there, and get you an OC that Kenny Pickett, I'm pretty sure, is going to buy in with. Get you a quality OC, because OCs and quarterbacks in Pittsburgh haven't been great, but the one constant is gone now, and that's been Roethlisberger. So get you a quality offensive coordinator. So Kenny Pickett can actually be Kenny Pickett. Beef up the offensive line, whether it's in the draft or free agency. It gives you some corners, man, that can actually cover. Because Lord Jesus, our secondary is literally Minka Fitzpatrick, Cam Sutton, and then everybody else. So, and I say this ironically with the Steelers leading the NFL in interceptions, which is funny, but yeah, gives you some corners of Pittsburgh. So that'll be it for my football wish. Go ahead, Sharky.
Man, the Titans still have the same exact problems. Like literally, we like mirror each other. It's crazy. Like you saying everything you just said is everything Titans can do.
The only difference is we have our quarterback. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, we could potentially, we don't know, but yeah.
Yeah.
Y'all definitely, Kenny Pickett definitely is it.
Yeah, I'll let someone else go before I run off the rest of the league. So
I got a real quick NBA one, of course, with the Grizz, and then of course the Carolina Panthers. But as far as the Grizz, get a damn closer. Get a closer. We ain't got to talk for who. We ain't got to talk trade specifics. But like I said on 3 the Hardaway, Ja Morant closing numbers to end games are the worst in the league for whatever reason. So we got to get a closer in order for the Grizz to take the next step. So that's it for the Grizz. List the starting 5 for the rest of our Grizz content. But for the NFL, I got 3 for the NFL. Number 1, it's amazing. It's amazing to see a black coach coaching for us. It's number 2 to see the players responding the way that they have. It's even greater. Give Steve Wilkes a long-term contract. He needs to be the leader for our team. I know people are saying the Sean Paynes of the world are coming back. Cool, whatever. This man deserves to be an NFL coach in the NFL, and he deserves to be the coach for the Carolina Panthers. Number 2 would be, of course, to upgrade the quarterback. That's literally our only thing, in my opinion. Maybe get a receiver or 2, a cornerback or 2, even though we just got Josh Norman back. Shout out to Josh Norman. Welcome back. It's just exactly. And Steve Wilkes was his coordinator when we went to the Super Bowl. Just throwing it out there. But as far as quarterback play for the Carolina Panthers, that inconsistency, if we can turn it to a consistency, like y'all said, y'all right there. We literally right there. And number 3, over the offseason, make sure we continue to sign our offensive linemen. We got a bunch of offensive linemen like Bradley Bozeman, who's on a 1-year contract, but also Dante Foreman. We got him for $2 million this season. Give this man a long-term contract. This is our running back. So that's my wish list for the Panthers, man, for real. Josh Norman is alive, yes.
That's what I was thinking of, Savage.
He is alive, Savage. He is alive.
I thought he ended his career for real.
He is alive.
How old is he now?
He had a Panthers jersey.
All right.
How old is he now?
As you're looking that up, when let me say this about Joshua Norman. I am hurt that we wanted to do all these things, Cowboys, to get OBJ to our team. But when I said we need another corner, if Josh Norman was available, I mean, at least give it a try. But I'm so thankful for T.Y. Hilton, by the way.
I was just say, man, that pissed me off Thursday. That pissed me off Thursday too.
Yeah,
I like Tigers decided to sign Chris Conley over T.Y. Hilton, bro. Go.
Yes. So I'll stick with, like we said, we don't talk about NFL. And when I thought about this wish list, I didn't quite think about next year. I think about within 2 years. And for me, with the Cowboys, my wish list, and Tuki kind of hit it on the head a little bit as well. I would love to see the Cowboys have a black coach, if not a head coach, a defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator, Leslie Frazier, and some other names around as well, because I don't think Mike McCarthy is going to be the one that helps get the Cowboys over whatever the hump may be. And so to me, coaching is number 1. I would like to see an African-American coach help coach us. I know it won't happen because Jerry Jones. So the second one is get Jerry Jones the hell out of there somehow, some way, or relinquish his power that he does have on there. I know, Ryan. I know.
That should have been number 1, Sheedy. In order for you to get a black coach, you need to fire your own. Never mind.
You wishing upon a star, man. You need
I am.
That's on the hope.
This is my list.
It's a wish list.
It is.
It
is on wish.
Definitely.
And then the other thing, because he owns so much here. I might want to get into what he's doing in Arlington. You didn't hear from me. And then my third is just for us to get a corner, a DB. and let me also back up and apologize. Lane Vander Esch, I apologize to you. Before the season started, I wonder why we signed you again. And you've been well when you play and been the run stopper that we kind of needed, actually. And we have looked abysmal in that department since you've been gone with another neck injury, which is the reason why I don't think you need to play football anymore either. And so getting a corner, having a good draft. We've been okay with drafts. We hit on Micah Parsons, you hit on CD Lamb, even our left tackle as well. We've hit on, but I need to hit more on the defensive end, more or less, on this next draft. So, okay, I'll switch the order: owner, coach, draft for the NFL.
Man, all of us, it's a passing league because every single last one of us said something about a cornerback. Right? And the Titans drafted a corner the last like 4-5 years, and we still need corners. I tell you, it just lets you know
we drafted. We draft some ourselves too, and they haven't hit. Artie Burns didn't hit. Cam is hit, but it's like, can we get?
But if
more
the like, can I get the developmental people over with the Seahawks to come down? Because
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly, bro.
They know what they're doing.
Exactly.
They like it's corners. They don't know the other position. They know some corners, God dog.
Man, shout out to JC Horn. That man broke his wrist, bro. That shit hurt me.
Oh man, he got hurt. That's the second year in a row he got hurt too.
Right, exactly. We're going in the playoffs. Like, we need you, bro. We need you. Shout out to him.
Let me write it off my other teams for basketball, NBA, for the Grizzlies. Since Ja Morant said they're fine in the West, and they better make the finals. Is my wish list. Y'all fine in the West? With the roster they got now. With the roster they got now, Trey, he said they're fine right now with the roster they got now. So the expectation is NBA Finals appearance, and they can only lose to the Boston Celtics. If they play anybody outside of Boston, since Boston's own team he mentioned, NBA Finals if they're playing anybody other than Boston. That's my wish list for the Grizzlies. Since that's what he said, that's what I'm gonna stick to. That's my expectation. For the Vols and the Tigers and basketball, Sweet 16 for both of them. Rick Barnes. I'm about to curse. Rick Barnes, get Sweet 16 Tennessee. God dog. And Memphis, y'all made a second round last year. Got a veteran laden team this year, looking pretty good. Sweet 16, same thing. I need both of them to make the Sweet 16. Yeah. It'd be nice if they make Sweet 16 against each other. That'd be nice game to play in the Sweet 16.
Hey, they looking like they in the same bracket too. So that's good.
That'd be nice. And Vols football repeat what they did this year. Really, I'm not even about to take a step further and say win the division, because although we got a great recruiting class, it's still Georgia. We do got Georgia at home next year, but we play at Alabama, right? So it's things might switch. We might beat Georgia and lose Alabama next year. So tiebreaker scenarios, things like that. So I'm not going to necessarily say SEC championship, but if you can do pretty much as you did this year, get a win against either Georgia or Alabama, beat Florida at Florida for the first time since 2000, I think, or 2011, whenever, early 2000s, when last time we beat Florida at Florida, then I'm fine with it.
Yeah. Two things for me for the Grizz. One, find a way to get a veteran in the trade deadline. And to Sharky's point, since apparently they're fine in the West, find a way to make the finals. And since y'all don't care about Dylan Brooks and his shot selection, find a way to make it work. So
that pissed me off. So I wasn't even gonna say that. I wasn't even gonna bring it up.
Hey, just say
me.
No point to get mad. No point to get mad.
As the resident Dylan Brooks fan on Starting Five, check that out if y'all don't already. I'm just gonna keep it a main. Like I take the good with the bad. I acknowledge him when he plays terrible. I acknowledge him when he plays good. But if your leader of your team, Ja Morant, says you don't care about Dylan Brooks' style of play, make it work. I'm just not gonna say anything else. I just make it work. Then, as I also mentioned, find a way to get a veteran at the trade deadline, because you desperately need a veteran. If you having finals expectations to only face the Celtics and you just gonna run through the West. For the Vols and football, just build on this year and just find a way to stay competitive and reach where you get to a New Year's Six game again next year. It's a tall task to win the East with Georgia still at the helm. And now, fortunate for us, to Sharky's point, we do have Georgia at home next season, but we do go to Alabama. And if I'm not mistaken, we go to Gainesville. We go to the Swamp to play Florida, which is always a formidable matchup within itself. So for Vols football, find a way to build on this season and possibly make another New Year's Six game, or even the college football playoff. Who knows? For Vols basketball, I've had it just up to here with Rick Barnes, but I've made it my decision to not judge them until they get to the NCAA tournament because they're going to have a great season. They'll finish top 10, possibly win the SEC regular season, win the SEC tournament probably. I'm not judging you guys until March. I need to see what you guys are going to look like in March. And has been my issue with Rick Barnes for Vols in the basketball round. For the Tigers, you have a really good team this year. A strong standing against the SEC, which was going to be major in you guys getting in the tournament. Just get to the second weekend. That's pretty much it. And then for college basketball as a whole, man, and I'm a wish upon the star with Sheedy. Find a way to make this 4 10-minute quarters instead of 2 20-minute halves, because this 2 20-minute halves is making things just atrocious and making things unwatchable, man. So if you could just do it like the women do it, keep it with 4 10-minute quarters instead of 2 20-minute halves, that would be great. I know it's going to take some time, but it's on my wish list.
I think she had to go for a second, but just go through some of the comments. Savage said for the Memphis Tigers football, win the conference and play Tevin Carter in some packages. It's a wish list, like you said, wish list, hopefully. So we can wish for with Ryan Silverfield back. He also said Eagles just make the Super Bowl. Yep, I agree with that. I was like that with the Titans last year. I was like, make the Super Bowl, because like actually winning, I was like, might at least make the Super Bowl. And hopefully y'all didn't do what we didn't do. And let me see, did Ryan say anything? I know he said for the Vols, beat the teams you're supposed to beat and don't miss out opportunities. So he's talking about Vols football mostly. Yeah, I think that's it. So, Sheedy.
All right. So clearly my wishes are a little bit extra, and I'll keep it that way. There's nothing wrong with me being extra. I'll bring a little spice. So
you got a mannequin this time. You got something else.
No mannequin. I don't have anything around. I'm sorry. But we'll see. But I will say for college basketball, those don't know, I'm Ohio State through and through. And so for college basketball per se, I would just like the Buckeyes just to make the tournament and win one game. We're not a college basketball team. We're not a powerhouse. We haven't been that way for some years, really, since D'Angelo Russell has really left. And we didn't mention D'Angelo Russell, by the way, but anyways, of what he's doing in Minnesota. But I will say that college football, I will say this, and you can check John Cooper's stats. If Ryan Day continues to lose to Michigan, and let's say the Titans stay kind of consistent with where they're at, goodbye, Mike Vrabel.
If he bring back Todd down there and fired on Black Monday, Vrabel can bounce on Black Monday. I love Vrabel. He can bounce though if Todd down there ain't gone.
And I'll take him on the sidelines at the shoe, being the head coach.
And pray he don't bring Todd down there with him there.
Oh hell no, because that's all I was going to get at. So he Mike Vrabel is defense, and we need defense on our side for Ohio State football. Watch tonight, you'll see why. But on the flip side of that, I think our offensive coordinator should be elevated from Brian Hartline, who's a great wide receiver recruiter. If you don't know, look at our stats. Look at Marvin Harrison Jr., along with other players that he has got to sign with us. I think it's his time to be the offensive coordinator. So that will be that for college football. Now to NBA. Miami. Could have been one of the best games of the year, as well, with Game 7 with Jimmy shooting that 3 instead of going to the cup. But we would have folded. Now. Yeah.
I don't think he could play overtime.
No, yeah, it was over with. So, but I will say this. First of all, let me say this. I think he's the second longest tenure coach right now is Eric Spoelstra, behind Greg Popovich. Eric Spoelstra has got to be the greatest coach to coach any team longer than 5 seasons, or just being coaching for 5 or more seasons, to not have won Coach of the Year. You have got to be. You have got to be kidding me in regards to Eric Spoelstra not being Coach of the Year. Take away the years that LeBron was there. Take away even when Jimmy came. I don't care. But there's no way that you cannot say Eric Spoelstra cannot have been Coach of the Year. However, again, all of my stuff is about coaching. if we do not ascend to where we need to go, I don't want to put Udonis Haslem as the coach. Hear me out with what I say here. It's Miami. And if Eric Spoelstra doesn't work, Ime, we have a spot for you. And the reason why I say Ime is because look at what we've mentioned Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. I don't know what he told those players after the All-Star break last season, but they have not got enough of that to the point where they are still the number 1 seed right now. And if he can inspire that into Jimmy and Bam, my goodness, how much better we would be. And I'm a Grizzlies fan as well. I'm still talking about coaching. We're good in the West. I know a coach that can coach maybe just a slight bit better than Taylor Jenkins has the reverse effect of what happened to him. Mark Jackson said he's available. I would love to see Mark Jackson coach the Memphis Grizzlies. Again, it's a wish, and that's fine. I'll be the guy that has a wish with a heavy wish list, but I mean, it's mine to have.
Yeah, on that note, that is the year.
I had something, but I was just gonna leave it at that. I was gonna leave it.
Didn't y'all win when Udonis Haslem started?
With LeBron.
You with LeBron?
Well, no, he didn't start though.
Yeah, LeBron, Chris Bosh. He's actually has started one game, yes, and he played 13 minutes, as a matter of fact.
Did y'all win?
We did.
All right, let's just say something. That's all. Happy New Year.
All right, man. We ain't supposed to end on the trolling note.
You're right.
Okay, I'll end on the
Trevor, you can go
because we're not finna end on that. I'll be the only one with the baseball comment. To Sheedy's point about Ryan Day with the Buckeyes and them constantly losing to Michigan. The same thing can be said with the Yankees and Aaron Boone. You guys have always found a way to keep everybody intact. You re-sign Aaron Judge to the big contract that you signed him to. Find a way to get past Houston. And if by some chance you still cannot get past Houston, if by some chance you can't get past Houston, then we really need to start looking and see is Aaron Boone actually the guy that's going to lead this Yankees team. So that's my wish list for the Yankees.
Oh man, the comments are hilarious. All right, man. As everyone end of 2022, it's been a good year. Appreciate everyone's tuned in. Appreciate everybody tuning in today. Regulars, man, Ryan, Savage, Darren from Fat Boy Fadeaway Podcast. Check him out along with Tyler, along with the same podcast. And he also, I can't think of the name, T&B Podcast. I know he has a 49ers podcast. They're up with the Variety Sports Network. So shout out to those guys. Check them out. Follow them on Twitter. Check out the podcast. As well as Ryan, he still, I know, has to jump past TN. It's been on the hiatus right now, but still prayers, still with you, Ryan. Glad that you're still here with us and looking like you're doing a whole lot better. So, man, definitely, man. Happy New Year to everyone. Remember, y'all can follow us on any podcasting platform, YouTube, as well as on social media at Twitter, IG, and Facebook at LBR_media, and TikTok as well at LBR_media. As well, you know, you can follow me on Twitter at the1DAONE_P_Shark.
I guess I'm second since this is a starting fire stick, kind of. But I'm at the Art of Trevor. Just get at me. League Pass Trevor Notes will be returning in 2023. We need to do a real quick who's going to be in the national championship because, you know, the semifinals is today.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Give me Georgia and Michigan. I want TCU to get there, but I think Georgia and Michigan.
Give me Georgia and Michigan.
I want TCU to get there, but yeah, it's gonna be Georgia and Michigan.
Well, I gotta be the asshole.
Sorry.
I gotta say Ohio State. Yeah. Who would I be? Like, I gotta say the Buckeyes. I would love to see the Buckeyes and the Wolverines, honestly, in the national championship game.
You know what? I would just sit back.
That wouldn't be. I got to, you know what? If that happens, I got to bring some Michigan fans on the show next week. Bring my guy C here, so we got to do some stuff. We're going. Right, if that happens, we got some plans.
Question. Sheedy, if that matchup actually happens and Ryan Day loses to Michigan again, do you guys just leave him in Atlanta at that point and just start a coaching search?
Perfect ending. Perfect ending.
I'll take that as a yes. All right.
Was that a cupcake or applesauce? And you put a candle in the applesauce. What was that?
Guess we're gonna have to figure it out.
Go ahead and rewind, ladies and gentlemen, if you need to.
Well, follow she did. It's really she did. Follow two. You see on screen for those listening audio. Tell Shakir.
We leaving bad energy in 2022, man. Besides that foolishness, I hope y'all bring in 2023 with some great energy.
And follow our other guy who's missing in action this week at _Skylitos. Shout out to Skyler.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Skyler. But and also 3T Hardaway podcast. Follow y'all on any social media platform. What is it? 3TH? 3T Hardaway.
Yes.
I can't think of it here.
3 the Hardaway, yeah. How you said it?
Yep.
Right.
Just got a new Instagram. I saw, got TikTok, got Twitter. So everything. Follow 3 the Hardaway. Check out on YouTube and any podcast platform as well. At LBR. At the Let's Be Real Media stick. But to next time, to next year. Peace.